but up to.
So even this 7 days and 13 days also it was already in the rules?
Oh no. Oh yes.
No,
Well,
7
7:30. Yes. It,
30 days.
Okay, then we just tell the federations, we have to inform the federations that these will be strictly implemented with effect.
You have to give advance notice.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's why I said with effect and I hesitated. 1st January,
that's my question.
January 1st should be fine.
Okay.
okay? 1st January.
Sounds good.
Yes.
2030.
So we can put it on our website.
2030, 1st January.
If I may be difficult, I still think we could stop people registering tournaments after they are finished today. That is an abuse, and I wish they would stop doing it.
Yeah?
Do you think it's an emergency?
Yeah.
No, it's because they wait to see the results.
No, sorry. Is that an emergency?
Oh yes,
Why do you
in
say
my
no?
opinion. Sorry, I understand the question.
Do you know number? How many tournaments? Just
Vladimir?
in general.
Vladimir.
For this period, there were about maybe from 650. There were in standard ratings. I'm not talking about rating league. There are very few. Maybe 20 or 30 were only after the end. This is not a big number, but this is very.
Well, to me, it's a big number.
No, I mean it's.
So
You have
20 every month. Year.
No, I'm not. This is the second time in months. I'm talking about the period.
Alright,
And also
sometimes information goes, by the time it goes down to the federation to the rating officer, or to the organizers, takes time, especially in big countries, in big federations. So I would still recommend that we should disseminate this information, that to give these people enough warning that we will be very strict and we will implement this 1st January 2030.
Okay.
Still on the same item?
Yes, certainly
Okay.
still on the same item,
Yes,
because I would like to recall some words in this case from the late Mika Markkala. Because the only person at the moment involved having damage is the player. If an organizer is not doing his job, if a rating officer is not doing his job, the only who's getting the damage of not being rated is a player. That we should bear this in mind, and Mika would have already said it.
No, but the damage goes both ways.
Who's the first and most important to be damaged? It's the player.
Yes, but the player, if he has a good tournament and it is not rated, he is damaged. The player who has a bad tournament, did not think it would be rated, and it is rated, he is damaged.
Let's make it easy for you, Nick. If you have a tournament with one of the players, you might assume that half of them will gain rating points and half of them will lose rating points. Yes? The half of them, this 50%, winning rating points, will not be very happy.
No, but it goes both ways. In the tournament that did not look as though it would be
Yeah, but
rated,
who
and now it is.
Who is getting the damage because someone else is not doing his job?
Okay.
What's your proposal?
No, but look, if I play in a tournament and I do well, and the organizer waits to see the results, and he doesn't like me, but he does like the other guys, so he doesn't send it in.
I'm not going to specify the problem.
I think this discussion will not go anywhere. Alright? I think what we can do is to prepare a list which is published, updated on the website of tournaments that were not reported or not registered, with the name of the chief arbiter, the rating officer, the organizers. And then if there are recommendations or proposals how to penalize arbiters or organizers, we can refer or make some proposals to the arbiters commission or the events commission. Okay, Michalis.
When a tournament is registered, it can be found on our website. If the players do not know how to do it, we can educate them. We can give them instructions how to find the tournament and see if it is pre-registered. If there is full data there, they can see who's chief arbiter, what is the time control, when the tournament starts and when the tournament ends. And if it is there, they know that it is going to be rated. We must educate them or announce them. Yes, you can do. You know this information if a tournament is going to be rated or not.
Yes, but what I'm trying to say, Michalis, is that we give information to the world that there are persistent organizers
CFD rated tournament.
who have not done this.
Yes, and in
And then
this
the
way,
players are aware, in this case, this is Ignatius tournament, I'm not going to play, you know.
and if they know how to do it, they are discouraged to play in a tournament that it's not registered.
Yes, right. Okay?
I have one question.
Yes.
Now federation have right to delete tournaments. In this case, what the 30 seconds, I mean, we should then limit them not to delete any tournament because now they have.
What?
Let me explain this thing.
Ah, no.
When it's registered, after the tournament, if I don't like to submit the report, I can go to the site and delete it before submitting the report.
Yeah, okay.
That should not be
Ashok.
allowed.
Ashok.
No, I was a little late and don't know all items of our discussion, but I want to ask one question. Okay, for title tournament it's separate, but for rating cases, rated tournament, in a rated tournament, why we needed this 1 week for registration? Why we cannot register, for example, in 1 day before start, just before start the tournament? What is the case? Why? Because for Elista office people is absolutely no different. For players, because it's only rating tournaments, he must finally agree before start round, before opening ceremony. And why we must register it months before?
I'm not going to open up this discussion. We have already decided on this already. Because we cannot come back to this when another gentleman comes in and asks the same question again. Nick.
Yes. So the next item, which is related, is reporting out. Sorry, you're still
Water.
unhappy.
Castro made a motion about deleting tournaments. Why do you delete tournaments? I had to delete some. They never were held.
That's
They were
good.
simply not held. A hurricane hit New York. Cancel the tournament.
I've had 3 tournaments that have been postponed because the actual tournament didn't go ahead. So we've got to have some facility to change the date or delete it and open another one.
Yes, inform the rating administrator.
Because of
Right.
foreign
Then
law.
From my 400 tournaments a year, maybe 3 or 4 in the year are deleted because I hear afterwards that it was not played. And I did not get any remark from any player that he said he has played and the tournament was not reported. So I have to delete some tournaments where I'm sure they are not played.
Yes.
This is a normal way.
Yeah. But wait, I just want to understand.
Maybe
Who deletes this? You can delete this in the server.
Federations, national federations.
National federations. Yeah.
Maybe it can be more difficult to delete. It's okay.
Yeah.
But it must be a possibility.
Yes.
But perhaps we should have to ask Vladimir to delete them rather than just
Yes.
allow the
Yeah.
Federation.
Right. I think there should be
We
a
can hit the
procedure.
delete button. It goes to Vladimir,
Yeah.
and then he can ask us what happened.
Right.
And if the tournament was canceled.
Yes. Then there is transparency.
It's better to
Okay.
propose.
Next
Right.
item.
Reporting.
Okay. We have to put a note.
Okay, Walter. Go ahead, Nick.
Right, reporting of tournaments, how long should well, the first question I have is it true that it is always the Federation that reports them? Because there was discussion, for instance, in TASK, where it sounded as though the Chief Arbiter reports them. Is that possible?
No, not possible. Only the rating officer has the code.
Yes.
Maybe,
Yes, for
maybe for FIDE tournaments, is that different?
Yeah. No, for FIDE sometimes for Grand Prix, for World Championship, we can receive from the Chief Arbiter.
Oh, good.
Exceptions.
Okay.
Those are the exceptions.
So in general, everything has to go from the Chief Arbiter to the ratings officer, who in theory is supposed to look at it, make sure it's okay, and to list it. How long does this take? I ask because I don't know.
But you know, the most of the report goes to the federation anyway.
How long? That's right. Normally, how long? In Poland, how long?
Between 2 minutes,
Poland. You don't know. Okay, Austria.
between 2 minutes and 10 minutes, depending if I have to make corrections or not.
Wait, you're talking as an arbiter or the rating officer?
Rating officer.
But I think 7 days.
Round,
I can, if they use Swiss system USA, I can turn it around 10 minutes to 30 minutes. If they use WinTD, I have the US Open, 515 players, 24 work hours.
Christian.
Average half an hour. And the two main problems. One is new players to the list. I have to enter to give FIDE identification to them. I have to check the birthdays. And secondly, the data of I get are not very clear. I have to overwork it.
Seven.
From the standpoint of an arbiter, I say give it 7 days from the end of the tournament to the time the rating officer has to put it in. It gives the arbiter time, it gives the player or the rating officer time. It just simplifies everything.
Okay.
You know, I propose 7 days because I take into consideration that sometimes a small village, internet is not working, for instance, everything can happen. And then, okay, for me, I can use this method half a minute or 2 minutes or 10 minutes. It is not a problem, but I look for other people. You know, they arrange tournaments in some villages, some cities, where the internet is not working well sometimes. And that is the period of 7 days I propose.
Right, I'm hearing from developed countries. I like to hear from other areas. Anyone? Chuit, you have problem 7 days, Cuba? 7 days is okay even? It's okay? Alright. Tournament reports to be submitted within 7 days by the national rating officer to FIDE.
Or else?
Or else, fine, penalty.
The hands are over there.
Any of them. Okay, 7 days. 1, 2, 3. Good enough? Okay, good enough.
What is if not?
Huh?
What is it? Fine.
Fine, we will let the QC commission council to work this out.
Let's speak to treasurer.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what is the limit? That means too late. Let's say, what would be the limit? I mean, you can say it's 1 week late, 2 weeks late, 1 month late, 2 months late, 3 months late. No, there must be a limit.
Now 6 months.
Okay?
No.
Seva.
The next rating report after the 7-day period is expired.
You cannot miss more than one
This is
rating
2 months.
list.
It's fine. That's 2 months.
1 month, 1 month.
You cannot miss more than one rating
Yeah.
list.
Yeah,
September,
That's 1 day.
1 month.
1 month.
September is due in October.
1 month becomes 2.
Okay, 1
The
month.
September
Let's
tournament
vote to finish.
is due in October. If you don't have it in by November,
Okay.
So 30 days.
Okay.
So, no, wait a minute. It finished on the 4th of September. It finished on the 4th of September,
it's due for October.
and it can still be submitted in
If
November.
it ain't in by November,
Janice.
it's too late.
I still
If it ain't
suggest
in by
I
November.
see yours.
to find a way to have the rating list here. The tournament ends 4th of September. It can be registered, submitted until the 1st November rating list, not later than that.
Yeah, that's what.
It's more than 30 days in this case.
Yes.
But you cannot go to December rating list, I mean.
You cannot miss more than one rating
You
period.
cannot miss more than one
So-
rating list.
We will put this in words, alright? We
Very
agree?
carefully. It should not be reported 1-2 days before the next list is coming up.
No, can be done.
Not the current rating period for a tournament.
If I
would
send it
be-
on 30th of October?
You may miss a rating list even by 1 day. You end the 28th of the month, and if you don't do it 29, then Vladimir processes the new rating list. You can go up to the
Yeah.
next rating list.
3 days before next list.
Okay?
Something like
Yeah.
that. We'll find a way.
We will find the wordings, alright? We'll find the wordings. Next.
And excuse me, but then if you miss that, what happens?
It doesn't get rated.
Um,
Unless the,
well, but now we're back with the same problem.
that it's not rated, that's one way, or not rated unless the QC decides otherwise. Just like the laws of structure.
Right, but how are we dealing with the problem this started with, where the results are not appealing to influential players, so they say don't send it in?
What's the date to enforce this law? 1st of July? 1st of January.
Well,
we get 3 months to see how many cases we have until 1st of January. Every month, Vladimir sends a list, and we see what goes with what we decide today and what is not. What is not.
There is a regulation which says that a tournament that is registered should be rated.
Yes, so we change this.
Yes, but it says should be.
Now we're saying that if it's 1 month late or 2 periods late.
That's why I said some of the wordings we have to leave it to the council to make amendments.
But say the conclusion, you know, what is the decision? How it's, you said regarding this late report. How you wrote it?
We will write this for the next session, okay? Brian, last question.
Yes, I was just going to say that we have to give some credit to our national rating officers. They do a good job, and most of them chase up these tournaments.
Yes.
And we should trust them to do the job properly.
Right.
Well, it depends on the federation.
Well,
I mean, what if the rating officer is the chief arbiter?
Chase himself.
Yeah.
chase himself.
Okay, next.
And he's paying
Next.
as well. Okay.
Next item.
Right, this is for ratings, the question of time controls. I don't know whether this is serious, but if people play in 2 tournaments on the same day, for instance, Stuart, you said you have people in Gibraltar who do this.
Yeah.
Are they permitted to overstep the limits of the number of games per day or the number of hours per day? And in fact, these rules we have for the maximum number of hours per day for one tournament, who are they protecting? What is the point?
Well, okay, can I answer that question? That we are concerned about the quality of the chess. So we think if they play, for instance, 24 hours, as an example, which has happened, I've organised such tournaments, then, and they used to have Chicago Insanity tournaments,
Okay, we've
which
got
was
the
more
idea.
than 24 hours, then we think the quality is such that we don't want them included in our rating system.
I absolutely agree.
And there's a different rating system and title in the titles, right? You asked an interesting question, what happened in England? Could somebody play more than 12 hours, I think is what you're answering. And I think in England it's such, organised such that it's impossible. So why is that done? Because we think it's not in the best interests of the players. In other countries they may do something different. And we have had some events where a child, for instance, has played in one tournament in the morning in one location and another tournament in the afternoon in a quite different location with a different arbiter, different organiser, different everything. So that possibility is it could exceed 12 hours. But you'd have to work at it.
So the question that arose is, if for the reason you say we don't want somebody playing or players playing in one tournament for 16 hours a day because it'll lead to problems with their chess. In theory, we're allowing them to do that perfectly well by playing in 2 tournaments, and somebody expressed concern about that. and that's why it's here.
And it's justified, but I think it probably only arises if it's completely two separate events within commuting distance.
I have an example right here.
Michalis as an example.
Yes.
Give us it.
We used to have the banquet tournament, was one game a day, so they could play Saturday to Wednesday, is it? Or Thursday? During the day, regular time controls, and at night play the U.S. Open. There's two separate tournaments. They played 2 games a day, no more than 12 hours. So we did have that.
Sevan, you wanted to say something?
Can we give the example that you said?
We're trying to protect players from themselves. There's a certain point in time we just have to let them deal with it themselves. If someone wants to game the system, who's gonna hurt? They're gonna hurt themselves. Is what they're going to do. You're thinking that the problem is so big that we're going to deflate or inflate the rating system. I just think we should go on to better things than deal with this.
Yes. And a related issue was, what about people who somehow managed to play 2 games at the same time?
Yes.
Do we rate them?
Yes.
Is the problem. No, it's not.
No. Just, I know about just this 2 holes, for instance. He played at the same time in tournament A and B. In 2 holes, okay. He used the same time, but anyway, can run from one board to the second board. You know, I think it cannot be allowed for rating purposes.
Okay, but I think it is logic, all right. But whether we should put this in the rules?
This is a fringe.
Yes.
This is a goal of chess.
Can I describe an example?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We had this report, it came from the United States, about a young player from Colombia, Mr. Joshua Ruiz. Yes, he's a young player. This player played in 2 tournaments at the same time. He was a member of his national team for a school championship, which was the Juegos Deportivos Sudamericanos Escolares, school championship, national championship. And the last 2 days of this tournament, where there were 3 rounds, happened to be the same days with a big open that happens in Colombia, McGregor. And 2 days, the first one was the 6th of December, he played 4th rounds. And the next day, 7th of December, he played 3 rounds. We examined the game, how this possibly could happen. We were able to find that the 2 venues were about 5 kilometers away. And we also had one of us playing in the big open, which was Bartek. And Bartek told us that the tournament starting time is something that is never kept. And actually, on Saturday, they were waiting for more than an hour for this boy to arrive. And he was introduced as a kind of a local hero, and then the round started. So we know that this player played 4 games in 2 different tournaments in the same day. This is the only case that it's right here in front of me.
Just a short break.
I'm sorry, a short announcement for tomorrow. At 15 hours tomorrow, the arbiters meeting will start, and it will last for 2 hours. Okay, so it will be from 3 to 5, and from 5 to 7 there will be another session of Rules and Tournament Regulation Commission. Okay, in the same room. The arbiters will not be from 3 to 7, it will be from 3 to 5. And from 5 to 7 it will be Rules and Tournament Regulations Commission again.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay? Yes, I just spoke with Mr. Heisen, Stuart.
Okay. Excellent.
Thank you.
Want me to be.
All right. So as we said,
That's
generally
not my job.
we agree that this is not allowed, but in order to protect the rules, I think there must be something in the regulations not to allow this. Okay. Then I also like to point out, I think this arose in my email with Stuart about arbiters playing in whether a rated tournament or a titled tournament. whether this is allowed.
Yes, we haven't quite got there yet.
Sorry?
It's coming.
Giving
Well,
some-
shall we can do it now,
Okay,
that's
sorry,
okay.
sorry. Okay, say what?
Okay, so being someone that organizes about 4 to 5 FIDE events every month, I end up playing in my own as a house man because there's an odd number of people. So the person doesn't sit out, I end up playing a game. So I think it depends on the situation here. For a title norm tournament, no, that shouldn't be allowed. For a regular rated tournament, I can't see not allowing that because a lot of times you're talking about club events, and if you're trying to grow FIDE at the club level, you're going to find difficulty.
Frank?
Mr. Lin, can we go back briefly to the 12 hours? The reason I say that is because in the U.S., it is very common to use the 5-second delay. We have events that are 42 sudden death in 1, which is 3 hours times 2, 6, times 2 rounds is 12. But if we use 5-second delay, again, very common, we exceed the 12 hours. We could exceed the 12 hours, but not by a significant amount. So I just want to make it clear, or at least get some sort of approval, that that would be okay, although it may exceed the 12 hours.
Do you not knock off 5 minutes when you start?
No. Who might bother with a thing like that?
I thought they did that.
No. You
Not
could do
necessarily.
I'm sorry?
Not necessarily. I
Right.
can tell you the U.S. Open, it was 42 sudden death in 1, 5-second delay.
Yes,
And the 6-day schedule had 2 rounds per day.
So say when I played in the States, I thought they made it 115 minutes.
I mean, that would be a solution, yes.
To me, that's a good solution. Then there's no theoretical problem.
Yes, Frank, it solves your problem?
No, that's fine. I just want to get a decision so that I can go back to the USDF and tell them, okay, from now on, this is what you have to do.
It's a preference. It's been discussed, and yes.
The alternative is to say a time delay of 5 seconds will not be counted because in this calculation of 12 hours because it's a day minimus.
Yes.
Then you'll say, what about 10 seconds?
It missed precisely.
And that's the game goes 100 years.
Any suggestions?
30 plus 30 plus 100.
Steven?
Be also based on 60 moves.
Yes, everything, yes.
That would be 10
Yeah,
minutes.
5 minutes will do it. If we did not 5 minutes, but what I'm saying is up until now, they have not been speeding up to the 5 minutes. On the US Open.
Does 750 minutes solve your problem? 12 hours, 720 minutes, right? Does 750 minutes solve your problem?
6 hours and 10
12 and a
minutes.
half hours.
6 hours and 10 minutes
Yes.
for 60 moves.
Yeah,
So that's 12 hours and 20 minutes.
No, there are plenty of solutions if we want to solve it. So I think nobody is very angry about the extra few minutes. Is the
Okay.
answer.
Okay, but the recommendation is to go ahead and build the 5 minutes. Huh?
Well,
That'll be the preferred method.
that's just me talking, although it has been discussed.
So can I, coming back to the arbiters, all right, that we put in the regulations, arbiters are not allowed to play in a title tournament.
Yes.
So Stuart, I didn't say you cannot play in a rated tournament. Okay? Arbiters are not allowed to play in a title tournament in which he is directing.
Can I go back to that? Because you see, let us take Gibraltar, okay? And somebody is a director in that tournament and acts as a filler or houseman. For that round, he is not an arbiter. This happens quite commonly, at least in Britain. That round one is not an arbiter because one's playing in the tournament. Now, it can be said, of course, that he plays one game and that can colour his opinion for the rest of the tournament. That's a valid viewpoint. It's one that I don't happen to hold.
I can't buy that for $1.
You got
Even this is very strange because arbiter play quite different. And my question to Stuart, for example, one round, an arbiter plays a player who signed the result. I mean,
He wasn't the arbiter. An arbiter signed it.
Yes, that means if you have at least two arbiters, no one, even in one round, can have a right to play.